Michigan Stadium, better known as the Big House, will once again host one of the fiercest rivalries in all of sports. It's Michigan-Ohio State and a bid to the Rose Bowl. Let's now join Brent Musburger, Kirk Herbstreit, and 110,000 crazed football fans with the start of the 2007 battle, right here on ESPN Classic.
Our weather today, folks, it's Michigan-Ohio State weather. You know, it's low 40s down into the 30s. We got a little rain, a little snow, just like we like.
I was out there for the pregame on the field, and it started to come down, a little snow mixed with some rain. As you said, Brent, it's the way it's supposed to be for this rivalry.
A lot of red sprinkled throughout the stands here. Buckeyes, of course, travel as well as any team. And folks, we are underway in the Big House on the one hop to the 5-yard line. Alley for Small, and he is out to the 33-yard line. And Kirk, here comes Todd Beckman now. How is he now? 3 picks last week against the Ohio.
He's had a great first year as a starting quarterback for Ohio State, but he had his worst game of the entire year last week against Illinois, the 3 interceptions. I think it's very important for Jim Tressel to try to get his quarterback on track early. Doesn't mean a couple easy throws underneath. Todd Beckman's favorite throw is going downfield, so I wouldn't be surprised here in this opening drive to see him try to go vertical against the Michigan secondary.
Pair of wide receivers, Beanie Wells, the running back, and they're going to give it a small one into Ron. He lined up in the backfield. He eludes the defender, but throwing for a loss, and Michigan smelled that one out. Will Johnson. And our starting lineup's presented by Best Buy, folks. We're going to bring in a special fella from the state of Ohio. LeBron James, introduce the Buckeye offense.
At quarterback, Todd Beckman making his first start against the Michigan Wolverines. He's going to be real relaxed because he's going to be able to air it out to a Biletnikoff finalist, Brian Robisky. On the offensive line, we got Kirk Bartman at right tackle. That's going to be able to open up all the holes for Akron's finest, Chris Beanie Wells.
And here comes Chris Beanie Wells. Every time I see LeBron, I guess if the NBA dollars weren't that big, he'd have been a Buckeye hoopster.
Well, he is a Buckeye at heart. You can see by the way he said that. A lot of emotion behind his conviction for the Ohio State Buckeyes and his man Beanie Wells, who needs to have a big game today for the Buckeyes to have a chance to win on the road.
Nice to have Skycam in Michigan Stadium.
Beautiful.
First time ever. Beckman looking, no, takes it down, goes for the first down marker, and got it. Not with his arm, but with his feet. Todd Beckman picks up that first down.
Michigan disguising pressure. Their trend is to bring a blitz on 3rd down, but they get pressure with 4, and Todd Beckman, recognizing a seam there, gets into it right away and gave himself enough of an opportunity to pick up a very valuable first down here early in this game.
Ball's out to the Buckeye 46. Here's Wells again, spinning, picked up a couple of extra yards after contact as he crosses midfield. And Eze, the middle linebacker, makes the stop. Well, let's bring in a star. Braylon Edwards, you introduce the Wolverine defense for us.
At defensive tackle, number 67, Terrence Taylor, leads the team with 50 tackles this year. Number 2, outside linebacker from Massillon, Ohio, lanky arms we like to call him, Sean Crable. And number 14, shutdown corner, Morgan Trent.
Braylon, of course, with the Cleveland Browns having a fine year. Taylor does lead the defensive linemen with tackles, and Sean Crable having an outstanding year at linebacker. And first down, second effort again. Powerful run. Crable was hanging on to Beanie that time, but he muscled his way for the first down. Kirk, that was a strong run.
Well, Beanie Wells saying earlier this week that a lot of his yards have come in the second half in football games, and he's really focused on trying to start fast, trying to pick up some yards and some momentum fast. He's been banged up. He's had to fight through a lot of injuries throughout this year. His ankle, his thumb's been bothering him, but if Ohio State's going to win, he's got to have one of his best games of the year.
Rain started to fall in Ann Arbor. Beanie slips a little bit. just shy of the 40-yard line, where it'll be second down here for the Buckeyes. It's the opening drive if you just turned on your set. Michigan and Ohio State. The Buckeyes won the toss, and they elected to take the ball against Lloyd Carr's Wolverines.
Michigan starting to ease up towards the line of scrimmage, trying to take away Ohio State's ability to run the football. So far, Ohio State 6 plays, 6 runs. A lot of times Coach Tressel likes to go behind the coverage if they start to cheat up.
Put the nose man right on the center, and here's going to be his first pass. Short of the first down. And that is Jamar Adams making the tackle that time, number 22. If there's an improvement, folks, with this Wolverine team over the middle of the season, that atrocious start, it's Adams and Brandon Engelman, the other safety, number 22 and 31, have really picked it up. Did not have an outstanding game against Wisconsin, but then who did? And both are seniors. Both are on track to graduate. And Jamar Adams is a young man from Charlotte, North Carolina, and a good one. So here we go now. 3rd down and 4. Was he calling timeout? It looked like Beckman put his hands up over his head, and O'Neal gave him the whistle. Let's see here. Yes, he did. He got the timeout. You could see the hands get up on top of the helmet. Well, the Buckeyes converted their first 3rd down. Here is 3rd and 4 coming up for Beckman. And see the raindrops as it's starting to fall here in Ann Arbor. Gets time, goes deep, Hart line, and the defender runs into him. It was underthrown, not catchable, I believe they're going to rule. Hartline thought he was interfered with. Trent had the coverage.
Well, Ohio State with the same look in the previous play before the timeout, where they moved Beanie Wells out all the way to get an empty set and try to get one-on-one matchups. Morgan Trent lined up against Brian Hartline, and I think you're right. The ball looked to be uncatchable, and that's why there was not a pass interference call. There's also not face guarding in college football, where you have that in the NFL.
There's A.J. Trapasso back now. And standing back is Greg Matthews, the wide receiver. So we'll see if he can pin it. Matthews hoping it goes to the end zone, which it does, and it'll come out on the 20-yard line. Well, the Buckeyes drove down the field, forced to call a timeout when it looked like they had what they wanted on that play. Couldn't convert as they went downfield to Hartline, and now Chad Henne, separated right shoulder. We had it in Champaign, Illinois on a Saturday night. He has tried, but he can only play for a handful of plays against Wisconsin last week. The question, folks, is not whether he can start. We've seen. The question is whether or not he can finish. That will be the big issue with that shoulder. Mike Hart, injured ankle, was held out last week. He's back. Henne goes downfield deep on the first throw of the game. And no yellow on that side. He was looking for Manningham, who's as dangerous as any deep threat in the country. Donald Washington right there, Kurt.
I love this by Mike DeBoer, the offensive coordinator. All this talk about is Chad Henne going to play with his shoulder. The first play out, he gets a one-on-one matchup. Donald Washington against Mario Manningham, who's the hottest receiver right now in college football. And good coverage that time by Washington, stride for stride with Manningham.
Yeah, they opened wide, and now Moondros comes in, the fullback, for the second play of the game. That might be able to give him an extra bodyguard. Oh, it's a lead for Hart. ISO play, and Laurinaitis jumps him on the back, and he rides it out to about the 25-yard line. So let's take a look now, Kirk, at this Michigan lineup and what we've got here today.
Well, Cheney and Hart being in there is so important, especially Chad Henne and the way he has grown this year as a leader. Outside, it's about Mario Manningham, really the entire group of wide receivers, but Manningham eventually will try to get vertical, as he did on the first play against the Buckeyes secondary. And up front, there's been some inconsistency on the right side because of injuries, but of course Jake Long, the anchor, and one of the best to ever put on the maize and blue on the offensive line.
Top 5 pick next spring, folks. The left tackle is hard to come by. Henne in the gun. Comes to the incomplete, bobbled by Manningham as he was trying to control it. It is 3 and out.
Going to keep close tabs on Chad Henne. But his first 2 throws a bit erratic for a quarterback who is known for outstanding accuracy.
You know what made the Buckeyes really happy on that last play? It wasn't the quarterback draw. There was no Juice Williams around.
You're right about that. Yeah. Different approach this week because of that. You're right.
Fair catch signal at the 32 by Hartline. Senior day is always special. Jake Long, Chad Henne, and Mike Hart out there with their parents prior to the start of today's game, and it's always emotional. Jake said he would probably tear up when he came out on the field today. And here's Beckman on first down, snapping it off to Rubisky, short of the first down. And Lisa, the right tackle, Kirk Barton, he's one of the leaders of this Buckeye team.
Absolutely, Brandon. Obviously, Ohio State coming off of that disappointing loss last week. Their national title hopes likely gone. Kirk Barton said that he went into the team meeting room after that game and wrote on the whiteboard, forget the rankings, forget the bowl games. The only thing that matters is Michigan. Now, he used much more colorful language than I'm allowed to on the air. But he said he got the idea from his high school coach who said, you know what, you're a leader of that team, and you got to make sure that your guys do not carry last week into this week. You still got a lot to play for.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you, that Wolverine defense on this series has been very aggressive. There's Sean Crable. He's their leader. He's come on strong as a linebacker. He freelances a little bit, I guess, like all great linebackers, Kurt.
Yeah, he does, and he is always around the football, leads this team in tackles. Of course, growing up in Massillon, Ohio, who's same hometown as Kirk Barton, so he is very excited to have an opportunity to get around. He'll be up near the line of scrimmage quite a bit today to try to slow down Beanie Wells.
There's a third down of the day for the Bucks. They're going to try to throw for it. Small picks it up. So a 3rd down completion, and the chains move.
Good read here by Todd Beckman. 3rd and short. Simple read out to the flat. His tight end goes to the sideline, and Ballard and Small comes to the inside. And it's amazing as he's got inside leverage there. It's his own play. And the one thing the receiver has to be careful of is as soon as you make that catch, you know that Chris Graham, the outside linebacker, is lowering the boom in a hurry. That time Small did a good job of catching the ball and then protecting himself and the football.
So Wiley, the fullback, goes over as an H-back, and they move Beanie Wells down to the bottom of your screen as they empty the backfield. Bobbled by Beckman. Picked up, fumble, but recovered by the Buckeyes. Ball was loose when Alex Boone fell on it.
Brent, this is the look that I think a lot of people expect to see from Ohio State. 3 and 4 wide receiver looks. I think the ball's just slick there. It goes right through Todd Beckman's hands. And Ohio State fortunate that Alex Boone jumped on top of that football.
That's Crable jarring it loose. 2nd and 15 for the Bucks.
Another multiple wide receiver look out of Ohio State.
Wolverines rush forward. Beckman slips down. Just what you said, Kirk. It is definitely slippery on that turf, and they're going to have to check the length of their cleats and go over there and check in with the trainers and see what they want them to wear here.
The challenge you have as a quarterback or any of the skill players is the weight of your body and how you deal with that when you're dealing with a slick field. Beckman right now early in this game, like a lot of the players, trying to get an adjustment because the rain and the snow started to come down towards the end of the warm-ups. These players right now are really getting a feel for the field as they're playing this football game, and it's affected Ohio State's offense these last 2 snaps.
Jamar Adams is a safety in center field on this 3rd and 23. Now Engelman joins him back there. They switch late into a 2-deep look, and another slip back at the 25. This time it is the running back, Beanie Wells.
Michigan's defense looks like a completely different looking defense from a week ago when they went to Madison. The reason, it's a rivalry game. They're playing at home. They're flying to the football. Studying their tape and watching last week, you'd think this is a different team. You knew the emotions of this game would bring out the best in the maize and blue, and so far it has.
Up to Trapasso. Bail the Buckeyes out here with field position punt. Matthews low. This is returnable. Should give the Wolverines something to work with. from the 30-yard line. Here comes number 13 out to the 35-yard line. The coverage team got downfield. Pockets, scarlet and gray, amidst the maize and blue here in Ann Arbor. 100,000 plus on hand. 104th time these two battle.
Oh my goodness.
Here we are. First down and 10 now for the Wolverines and Chad Henne, number 7, who opened the game. He has his familiar 3 wides. Throws down below and using Manningham on first down. Now let's take you back, because they lost to Appalachian State here, and then Oregon blew them out, and suddenly the Wolverines were 0-2, and then they regrouped. Mike Hart guaranteeing the win against Notre Dame, and that started them on the way back. They win 8 in a row, and without much of a huddle, Mike Hart bulls for the first down.
Brent, there's Mike Hart. That's the attitude. Look at him. Look, see the eyes on Mike Hart. That's what Michigan has missed this year. We know he's one of the greatest backs, if not the greatest back to ever play at the University of Michigan, the all-time leading rusher. But what I've always appreciated about him is his leadership in the huddle and the way his team feeds off of his energy and the look in his eyes.
Near midfield now with the first down. Henne, 4th game against the Bucks, never beaten, nor has Hart. On a beautiful ball fake, rolls and then through, incomplete.
Chad Henne has made it perfectly clear, Brent, along with Mike Hart and Jake Long, they came back for this game. They skipped, decided to go to the NFL. They wanted to come back for their senior year to beat Ohio State. And when you wait an entire year to get to this game, sometimes the emotions are flying, and as a quarterback, when that happens, the ball can sail on you. Right now, Chad Henne just needs to settle down and let the game come to him.
Second down and 10. Moondros is the lead fullback. Here comes Hart. 9 tough yards before Malcolm Jenkins, who had his best day as a tackler last week. Mike Hart had perhaps the quote of the week leading up to this game. How badly he wants to beat the Bucks, irritated. I'd rather lose to Appalachian State than Ohio State.
That sums it up right there. And for a player that's going to go down as one of the best of all time, to be 0-3 against Ohio State, the nemesis so far in his career, you can understand why he wants this game so badly today, along with Chad Henne and Jake Long and the other seniors.
The first time I saw that quote, it was in Mitch Albom's column.
Yeah.
So 3rd down now and 1. Quick snap throw, 1st and 10. And it is Adrian Arrington, the senior. A different offense with Chad Henne in there. Now, remember when the two teams, Kirk, they were woofing before the game got going. They were woofing at midfield. Look at number 20 down here.
Yeah, he's ready.
He had to be restrained, and they're back out. They're ready to go again. Here comes Hart. So they're playing an up-tempo game now, and they've got their veterans out there. They're not sending in a lot of situation substitutions. Nobody's coming on the field. Henne and the Wolverines are going without a huddle now. 2
things this does, Brent, is it creates tempo and it gets a defense on their heels.
2nd down and 4. Great protection. Using Carson Butler, the tight end. And the last time he was looking for Chris McLaurin on that roll, and here he comes again without a huddle.
Sometimes when a quarterback and an offense can't find a rhythm, the no huddle creates that rhythm by getting in and up to the line of scrimmage quickly. And as I said, the defense is just, they're back on their heels, losing their aggressiveness.
Here comes Hart. Spinning 1st and 10, and this is a fine-looking drive led by Henne and Hart.
I think we know why Mike Hart sat out last week's game against Wisconsin. He wants this game, and you can see the little pirouette there. That's the ability that he has in getting to that 2nd level. He has such great strength in his legs that he runs right through arm tackles.
And they are not substituting players. They're sticking with the 11. That time Hart slipping a little bit. Lost yardage back on the 15-yard line. Anderson Russell We'll find safety for the Buckeyes up to make that play. There he is, number 21.
Russell came in to close the door on the play, but Marcus Freeman, who we've not called his name yet, penetrated that Michigan offensive line.
Brandon Minor in at running back, number 4. Press coverage by the Bucks. Henney is sacked for the first time back at the 20-yard line. Vernon Golston, their best defensive lineman, with the sack.
Well, Steve Schilling, the right tackle, who's bounced back from right guard to right tackle, gets a little bit of a feel for the quickness of Vernon Golston. In fact, he holds him, and still number 50 for Ohio State uses his speed to the outside to come up with a big sack for this Ohio State defense.
So the defensive coaches of Ohio State show their hand. They kept Golston away from Jake Long on that play and lined him up on the other side. Now they move him back. He's on the right side defensively, and now it'll be Jake Long's turn. The Wolverines were concerned about where Golston would line up. They did not have a read on it. They thought it was about 50-50. Henney's from the gun. Complete to the tight end again. Butler, who was out wide that time, and Marcus Freeman. So the rally that looked so promising suddenly stalls in the face of that Buckeye D. And let's credit Anderson Russell. Vernon Golston then coming up with the sack, and that play didn't gain much. And Lloyd Carr will go for an opening field goal just to get on the board here if he can with K.C. Lapata, the senior from Farmington, Michigan. We'll see what he can do. It's a 33-yard attempt. Looks good. Michigan strikes first. Nothing at the Big House. Well, we are back. Small will field this kickoff in the end zone. O'Neal is the lead man there, number 3. And a terrific return from out of the end zone to the 27-yard line.
Jim Tressel's had a couple series now to evaluate Michigan and how they're adjusting to his formations. He's had a lot of success early in games. In fact, the last 7, the opening drive, they've gone right down the field and put points up on the board. And Michigan has slowed him down here. We'll see what kind of adjustments he makes here now that he's seen the Michigan defense.
Kirkshawn Crable playing very well. And Jamar Adams back in that safety spot along with Engelman. The corners have not been really tested yet. Remember, Donovan Warren is a freshman, but as Jim Tressel said, yeah, but he's had 11 games now as a freshman, and he's at the bottom of your screen. You can see him tighten up that cornerback spot. They're going to throw against him. They're going to go for Robisky. There's interference on him. They matched Robisky against Donovan Warren, and they got pass interference, 15 yards and a first down.
Michigan guessing a run. They walked up to safety. Adams, Ohio State saw it and checked to the one-on-one play.
Number 6 on the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Todd Beckman saw the same thing, Brent, that you were just talking about. Opportunity to have your best wide receiver against a true freshman. And even though Warren's going to be a great player, clearly grabs a hold of the jersey of Robisky, but a good job of recognizing the coverage that he wants and checking to the play that time by Todd Beckman.
Brings the ball out to the 42-yard line for Beckman. Power eye look. Beanie. For about a yard, and then he was driven back by Brandon Graham, the sophomore from Detroit. And we've got a Wolverine down on the play also. Is that him? Yes, it is. Brandon Graham was also shaken up. We welcome you back to Michigan Stadium. Second down coming up for Todd Beckman. And other than the start of their opening drive, Kirk, Buckeyes offense having a little difficulty solving the Wolverine defense so far.
I think they're going to have to throw the football to have success to open up the running game.
Beanie busts the first tackle, but he's still well short of of midfield. But you think that Beckman basically has to air it out here.
Well, first of all, you're from Montana. You're dressed in shorts. This is balmy weather. I'm covered up here, protecting myself. You know, I think what I'm saying from Michigan is their safeties are getting up into the line of scrimmage. They want to negate Beanie Wells' ability to run and be physical. I think Ohio State has to recognize that, try to spread this Michigan defense out the way we've seen teams do, and they're going to have to throw the football to their talented group of receivers.
Well, let's see what they do right here, Kirk. It is 3rd down and 4. And Michigan expecting a pass. A delayed blitz, fumbled by the quarterback. That's why they went after it. Beckman dives back for the ball.
Beckman fell back on top of the football, but this is the 3rd time we've seen the conditions on the field, which includes a slick football, affect Todd Beckman. This is kind of a virus to the Jim Tressel formula, the computer that he has about protecting the football on the road and not doing things that where you self-destruct, and Beckman really struggling right now.
So we've come to the end of the first quarter. After 1 quarter in Ann Arbor, Michigan leads arch rival Ohio State by a field goal, and the Wolverines are about to get the ball back again. We'll start the second quarter with Trapasso punting. Matthews is back deep for the Wolverines. Matthews going to let this one bounce. Picks it up on the 12-yard line after the first gunner went by, but he's short of the 20. And you know, so far, Kirk, the weather has affected the Buckeyes more than the Wolverines. Lisa, what's going on the Ohio State sideline?
Well, Brent, you really can't tell on your monitors, but the drizzle is coming down here, and it really is affecting the Buckeyes. I asked Beanie Wells earlier, I said, what's it like out there? And he said, very slippery. You saw Todd Beckman mishandle that last ball, and he came over to the sideline and got a glove for his throwing hand. Now, I don't know how often or how used to it he is to using a glove, but it looks like from here on out he's going to go with a glove on his hand.
Well, Chad Henne has been playing with a pair of gloves, I believe, as he hands it off to his running back that time and throwing for a loss of yards. There you see Henne has had his gloves on all game. Kirk,
Lisa just made a great point. How much experience does Todd Beckman have with it? Because we've seen Chad Henne in his career. This is his 46th career start. I've seen Chad Henne deal with bad conditions and go to gloves before. I don't know about Todd Beckman.
You know, there's another thing at play here. I think everybody expected the Buckeyes to be getting a lot of pressure on that separated shoulder. I don't remember him being touched hard.
Except for the Vernon Golston.
That's right. Golston on that one sack. It was the only time anybody laid a hand on it. Short drop, snap, almost intercepted. There's the ball that slipped on him, Kirk, that you talked about in the first quarter. Manningham the target, and it took up. Did the glove?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, whether it's the conditions or possibly the glove. This is zone blitz. This surprises him because you have Vernon Golston dropping, and it makes it very easy for Malcolm Jenkins to almost come up with an interception. Golston usually is pressuring. He didn't expect to see Vernon Golston there. Therefore, the surprise, he puts the ball high, and again, Malcolm Jenkins close to an interception.
Mike DeBoer said they've got more blitzes than any team they play. They come from every angle, and that fire blitz, they call it time after time, and it's hard to get a handle on it. One of those big defensive fellows who can move. Drops off like Golston just is, hitting out from the gun. Sacked for the second time, back on the 10-yard line. You would have thought that time that he would have fired it out of there. He had an awful lot with Laurinaitis closing in on him here.
Well, this is just 4 up front for Ohio State. Dexter Larimore, 72, fighting through the Michigan offensive line. And even the freshman, Cameron Hayward, coming to the inside. But the left side, the strength of Michigan's offensive line, that time allowing a sack with Dexter Larimore getting in.
Yeah, it was Larimore. I think I misspoke about Laurinaitis. So Larimore gets it in 13:33 and a half. Mesco. Buckeyes should have superb field position. Fielded at midfield by Hartline, and he's across the 45 to the 44-yard line. So the Buckeyes will start the drive at the Wolverines' 44-yard line, trailing it by a field goal. 3 wide receivers. You look from behind. Beanie Wells gets the handoff. Picks up about a yard. So Missouri next week. plays Kansas, Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. 2nd down and 9. Play fake by Beckman, who has a glove on his left hand. Comes in underneath to Jake Ballard.
Keep saying they're going to have to throw this football today against the Michigan defense to have any chance of having success. The problem is their quarterback, Todd Beckman, up to this point, has not been able to settle in. He's uncomfortable with the conditions. The ball has been slick. It's been on the ground. And Brad, you're looking at a quarterback who's been outstanding all year, but he's coming off his worst performance last week. You wonder where his mindset is and how quickly he can regain his composure and confidence.
2 of 5 on 3rd downs. Here's number 6. Got that one. Hartline smashes into Engelman after having picked up the 1st down, the sophomore receiver from North Canton, Ohio.
That was a big hit from Engelman coming up. I was surprised to see Hartline. In fact, he's going to check out of the game. I was surprised to see him get up because great throw this time by Beckman, but Engelman lowers the boom on Brian Hartline right after he made the catch, and the doctors quickly to check him out to see if he's going to be okay. That was a head-to-head shot there that Hartline took.
Robisky's matched against Warren, who's playing at the bottom of your screen and giving him a little more of a cushion than he did earlier. Beckman looks the other way, short of the 1st down. Hartline pushed out of bounds, and let's take a look at that Pacific Life game summary. You made the point, Kirk, that the production per minute doesn't match for the Buckeyes here.
Well, you and I were looking at the total yards. Look how many yards Ohio State has. They have 38 yards, and yet the time of possession. I think that's the first time I've ever seen a team that has 11.5 minutes of possessing the football and 38 yards of total offense.
2nd down, started to move the ball though on this drive. Beanie will try to get into the red zone, and he does. So it'll be a 1st and 10 for the Bucks.
I think this is what Jim Tressel is going to try to do. This is the adjustment that he will make throughout this game after seeing Michigan committed to stopping the run, a couple throws, and after you hit a couple of passes downfield, it slows the safeties down, it slows the secondary, and even the linebackers down, and then you can go back to your bread and butter of running Beanie Wells, but it's going to start with throwing the football first and foremost with Todd Beckman.
They slot Hartline off to Beckman's left. Small is outside him. So they got Robisky, and then they run Beanie. The Robisky side, 10, 5-yard line, 1st and goal coming up for Ohio State.
Michigan again bringing a blitz, and a good job. Steve Raring comes around, boom, picks up a block right there on Chris Graham, who is about to come down and make the play on Beanie Wells. 71 Raring coming around, and as soon as he turned the corner on the pull, Chris Graham, who was lined up to the outside, was closing down on the line of scrimmage right towards Beanie Wells, but a big block that time by Raring.
Zanzenbacher checks in. Beanie is out. They're going to spread the field inside the 10-yard line. They go 4 wide, run the quarterback draw, shades of John Elway, and Beckman doesn't get in. It was not like Elway.
Well, no,
it's
more like Craig Krenzel.
I had that all set up, you know. Come on.
It's very unusual to think about Ohio State offense inside a 5-yard line and 4 wide receiver look at an empty set. But they're just trying to simply get the linebackers and the defensive backs away from that boxed area, and they have enough confidence in Beckman to run the football, and he picked up a pretty good game there on that 1st down.
So Beanie's back on the field. Fullback, and he barges into the end zone. Behind the left side, Steve Raring, Alex Boone, center Jim Cordell, and Beanie Wells puts the Buckeyes ahead today for the first time.
Jim Tressel, nice job there with the play calling, mixing run along with the pass. I think it got Michigan's defense back on their heels, lost a bit of their aggressiveness. Nice block, lead block by Bailey, but Beanie Wells lowering the boom that time on a big safety. Engelman right at the goal line to get into the end zone.
Toma to hold it, and Praetorius ready to boot the extra point here for the Bucks. So you make it 7-3. Ohio State won the toss and took the football. So what it means is that Michigan will get the first series here of the 2nd half, and an entirely different kind of game unfolding here in Ann Arbor. Petrie has handled the kickoffs here for the Buckeyes, and we begin the second half. Fielded at the 2-yard line by Brandon Harrison. And Harrison brings it out. There's a penalty on it, however. A late flag. See if that's an illegal block. Kind of like the way John O'Neill handles a ball game, don't you? He kind of moves it along, knows what he's doing.
Holding number 35 during the return. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
Let's go down below to Lisa.
Well, Brent, as you know, the rain continues to fall down here, and I asked Jim Tressel at halftime how much the weather was affecting his team, and he said it really is. The ball is really slippery, and my kids in particular are really having a tough time, specifically Todd Beckman. He's having a tough time gripping the ball. I also asked on Michigan Wolverine side, I spoke to Eric Soup Campbell, the wide receivers coach, after Mario Manningham dropped those 2 passes late in the first half. I said, was that the weather? And he said, no, he just didn't look the ball in. But just to note, Manningham did get a pair of new dry gloves.
Well, we'll see how those dry gloves work out here, Lisa. Number 86. And
one of the things that Michigan has to be able to establish, Brent, is their zone scheme. They want to run the zone, and they want to stretch the Ohio State defense out, especially now that Ohio State is putting a lot of people up towards the line of scrimmage. You have to wonder, can Chad Henne, with the conditions, can he settle down, and can they give him time to throw to make Ohio State back up?
They set the screen, and a linebacker, Freeman, comes right over the top. Marcus Freeman, the junior, making a big play, and it'll be 2nd down and 10. He read that one, didn't he?
When you're an Ohio State defense, or any defense getting ready to go up against Michigan, you hear a lot about their zone play, and you hear a lot about their vertical passing game and their screens. Michigan runs screen plays as well as anybody in the Big Ten. Freeman that time locked in on it and was able to make a play.
They got exactly what they wanted. They had Golston over on the Jake Long side. Now Golston comes back over to the Steve Schilling side, number 50 for the Buckeyes. He's having a big afternoon. They do put a tight end over there. They release him. Holds and incomplete. Not a way to start the second half.
No, not at all. I mean, Michigan had a chance here to set the tone with this drive, getting the ball in the second half and maybe creating some momentum, but the Buckeyes defense forces the 3 and out.
Well, it's up to Zoltan Mesko. Unloaded a 68-yarder in the first half and standing back in the Wolverine end zone. Small and Hartline are back deep for the Bucks. They could wind up with a short field here. He drills another beauty. Back to the 35-yard line. Here comes Small looking for an alley on the left side. There's a penalty. This could be coming back as he heads for the end zone. That's a touchdown until we hear from the officials, folks. The 65-yarder is coming back near midfield, it looks like.
Yeah, Brian Roll, a linebacker who plays a lot on special teams, blocking in the back of a Michigan player coming downfield to make a play.
So Ray Small's 65-yarder coming back.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 36 on the return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
That is the first penalty of this game against Ohio State.
It was right. It was very, very simple for the officials right there in the middle. Pretty simple to see that. And in fact, as soon as he did it, the flag comes right in there. Good call that time by this crew.
And he was in position to make the tackle before that block. So here we go. Beckman and the Buckeyes are coming out now from the 37-yard line. Steady diet. Beatty Wells breaks past midfield, breaks into the clear. Foot race for the end zone. 6 on the board for the Buckeyes. 62 yards. So you call back a 65-yarder. You snap it and you go 62 for the touchdown. Ron English has to be furious about this run. Lloyd Carr went right down to his defensive coordinator right after that play. And Kirk is going to show you why English is so upset with his defense in just a moment. Pepper Johnson's son had a big role in that touchdown. Fielded at the 5-yard line. Harrison well short of the 20-yard line. Bucks on fire right now.
A lot of energy on the other sideline. The safety here, this is surprising to see from a senior, Jamar Adams, who comes up and takes a very poor angle. And once the blocks are made, because of that poor angle, and then Engelman, his partner in the back, makes a poor tackle, it opens it up. But Brent, you're right. Deontay Johnson, old school throwback, just a simple isolation play. His block opened up the run and allowed Beanie Wells at 240 pounds, who shows what kind of speed he has in the open field, to break free.
For Henne and Hart, there's a sense of urgency now. It's 14-3. H&H have never beaten the Bucks. Tight end, Butler written down after about an 8-yard gain, and our Pacific Life game summary will take a look at the numbers that we've had there, and of course 62 Beanies.
I was going to say it's changed quite a bit just in one play. Michigan came out with their first series. They took the ball, obviously, 3 and out, and Ohio State's first play in the second half, Beanie Wells goes 62.
Wolverines being held to less than 100 yards against this Buckeye defense. It is so different for the Ohio State defense to be looking at a more traditional offense than what they saw last winter with the Gators and then last week with Illinois. The equalizer in college football is becoming that spread offense, and you make everybody tackle in space, and what a difference that is.
I think, Brent, we're going to see coaches this offseason try to find the Pat Whites and the Dennis Dixons and the Juice Williams, not to just run the spread, but to have a mobile quarterback who can throw the football. It's just too tough to prepare for, and it slows defenses down.
Golston was double teamed. The throw is high, however. Matthews the intended target, and 3 and done.
He's been high the entire day with most of his throws, and you can see again grimacing. We've kind of taken for granted how much pain he's playing with, but you got to wonder how much it's affecting his accuracy today.
Now, I just told somebody we're apt to see Ryan Mallett. You know, a separated shoulder, no matter what you take to try and hold off the pain, it starts to build up late in the game, and he has not. Desmond Howard said it at halftime, talking to Chris. He's not throwing the ball with the velocity like he normally does. Small now, back to the 21-yard line. Looking over to the left and to the 31-yard line. Well, a fundraiser for the Ronald McDonald House here in Ann Arbor, and Jamie Morse, former player, was among those taking whacks.
Looks like Travis Hefner taking some shots right there.
Some of those fiberglass boys from the NASCAR circuit. And looking for more is Beanie Wells. What's interesting to me is the lack of substitutions by both sides in this game so far. We have not seen Mo Wells. We've not seen Brandon Sane. It has been all Beanie Wells. Deontay Johnson, the fullback. Hartline, Robisky, Small, getting the majority of reps as a wide receiver. Same is true of Lloyd Carr's offense. Your best players stay on the field in a game like this. 2nd down and 4 for the Buckeyes. They lead it 14-3. Beanie steps his way for another first down, breaks free to the midfield. Starting to wear down the Wolverine defense.
Ohio State's winning the battle in the line of scrimmage. The fullback Johnson, Pepper Johnson's son, watch him, boom, open it up right there. And the safety Jamar Adams is struggling right now in run support and coming up and trying to tackle Beanie Wells. Poor tackling right there and strong running from Beanie Wells. Pepper Johnson has to love to see his son playing in this game. And
wow, playing so well right now.
Playing well.
Well, having said that, here comes Brandon Sane. And you can see that clean jersey. He's going to get a rep. Let's see if they throw off this formation. They are not. Here comes Sane. Comeback story of the year as far as the Big Ten is concerned. Zook, the Big Ten coach of the year. Here comes Sane dancing out to the right. And this will bring up 3rd and 10. And you know, Kirk, when we start next season, they're going to be talking about the Illini as possibly going to Pasadena.
They will be right up there along with Ohio State as a team. Ohio State's playing 2 seniors today, one on offense and one on defense, assuming their underclassmen come back. But Ron Zook this year 9-3, going to go against the SEC in a bowl game, and with a lot of those players coming back, you're right, there'll be a lot of momentum carried over into next year.
3rd and 5. Speaking of the Rose Bowl, that's where the winner of this baby appears headed. Here comes Sane, muscling his way for a 1st and 10. I said appears. Obviously, if Michigan comes back, they will go to Pasadena. There is a sequence which would still send Ohio State to the BCS championship, but it would be very, very unlikely for all those teams ahead of them. Much more likely that if Tressel wins today, he will go back to Pasadena. And I don't believe Jim's been to the Rose Bowl. It was John Cooper when he took Ohio State out there, and they beat Arizona State.
Back in 1996. It's been a long time. Jim Tressel's had a lot of success, but a lot of times they've been a BCS at large selection, many times to the Fiesta Bowl.
Exactly. Here comes Sane, and top contenders, and of course LSU has moved back to the top spot. There's what's left in the Big 12 is right there in the middle, and then West Virginia.
Focus in on the 3 teams in the middle, because the next 2 weeks you're going to have a mini playoff because they all play one another. It crosses over. Kansas and Missouri next week, and the winner will play Oklahoma. So 2 of those teams will be gone. There'll be one standing. Comes down to LSU, the winner of the Big 12 little semi-regional, and then West Virginia, who plays a tough Cincinnati team tonight down in Nippert Stadium.
2nd down and 8. Here comes Sane. Well short of the first down. As soon as we say that and believe that, Texas Tech will take care of Oklahoma tonight on ABC. I mean, that's the way the season has gone.
And don't forget that LSU, they have Ole Miss today. They play Arkansas, and then they're going to either play Tennessee or Georgia, more than likely, in the SEC title. And the way Georgia's playing right now, I don't know if anybody in America wants to play the Bulldogs.
Yeah, the only thing predictable about this year's college football season is its unpredictability. So Jim Tressel is giving that Wolverine defense a steady diet of running plays. Let's see what he does here. First pass of the second half. Nope. Now he's going to throw it out of bounds. Fourth down, and the Wolverines can ill afford to give up any more points in this game.
We were kind of talking at the break before we came back when Michigan gave the ball back to Ohio State. That drive was huge. That's Michigan stopping Ohio State there from scoring, especially a touchdown. The way the momentum of this game is going. Big stop for the Wolverines defense to get the ball back to, we expect, Chad Henne, but maybe Ryan Mallett comes in.
Matthews back deep again. He fields it at the 12-yard line, short of the 20-yard line, and pushed out of bounds. Henne has got the helmet on and stepping back like he's got the offense around him. So Big Tex was loosening up in the bullpen. There he is. He was getting that right arm loose just in case, but Henne will see if he can drive this. And you know, Kirk, when you look at the wide receivers, Manningham, 4 catches, but he's dropped a couple. Tight end Butler with 3, but Arrington's been held to 1 catch for 5 yards.
And Chad Henne comes back without the glove on his throwing hand. Without the glove, maybe that was affecting the grip, and maybe that's why the ball is sailed.
Well, let's take a look here. Play fake. Come in with an underneath throw and pick up about 5 or 6 yards on 1st and 10.
If Chad Henne can gut it out, and this is his last game, his 46th game as a starting quarterback at Michigan, Michigan has a much better chance, even with him struggling, than going to the freshman Mallett. Mallett has a world of potential, but he also has been a quarterback who has turned the football over. Chad Henne has to stay on the field for Michigan.
Oh, just eaten up. Denlinger, Todd Denlinger, the sophomore from Troy, Ohio. And the Wolverine offensive line has not kept the front clean.
Well, the right side of this offensive line has struggled mightily. This time, Alex Mitchell, who's in at right guard, just turns the wrong way and makes it pretty easy for Denlinger to get right in there for the loss on Mike Hart. And Mike Hart continuing to get pounded here into the second half.
3rd and 8. Buckeyes rush 4. Golston's double team. Holding is the call. Let me check this now. The linesman threw that flag. I thought for a moment it was the umpire, but it wasn't. Yep. Still against the offense.
Illegal shift against the offense. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
Did you see where that ball was thrown by Chad Henne? Again, high, missing his intended receiver. So even if there wasn't a flag, Michigan just cannot find anything to go to be able to take some of the pressure off of their running game. Chad Henne, I really have never seen him look this erratic back there throwing a football.
No question he's bothered by that separated shoulder. Mesco hanging it high. Fair catch by Hartline at the 35-yard line. While we're away, Lloyd Carr called the bullpen. Big Tex put the helmet on. Ryan Mallett. And it seems likely that that injured shoulder of Henne's isn't going to go any further. We'll see what happens. 6.5 minutes here. Beanie Wells breaks free again to the 40-yard line. He's closing in on a 200-yard day, but was that a hammy? He reached back with that right hand. Was that a hamstring?
He definitely came up. This is a big block here. This time the fullback who's in there is Tyler Whaley. It's been the same call, an isolation play. The safeties continue to take poor angles, poor tackling on the back end, and I don't know, Brent, at this point, if they're just starting to get a little intimidated of Beanie Wells and his 240 pounds coming in. Yep.
170 yards. You could see when he came up.
It's big.
Another 23 yards for him. And so the freshman Sane back on the field. Remember about Sane now. He's got speed. Time for the X Factor presented by Citi, and we just saw the Mr. X limp off.
Well, he has had a game of his life as far as playing in this rivalry and what he needed to do. And Mike Hart, it's been a quiet day for Mike Hart. He's been gutting it out himself, much like Chad Henne, trying to stay on the field for his team. And now if Mallett comes in, they'll really need Mike Hart in that huddle to help the young freshman out.
You would think that the only chance Michigan had is for young Mallett to find Manningham, Arrington, and Matthews deep, Kirk. They can't keep throwing 3- and 4-yard passes. Sane's down, and it'll be 3rd down. There's that dislocated shoulder. We were there in Illinois the night, and you have to wonder if after this game, soon we won't be reading that the arthroscopic surgery, that there's something in there that they'll have to take out. Because it certainly, since that night in Champaign, it has not been near 100%. I think he threw only 5 passes in Madison. A gutty performance by Henne here today. He tried to do it. Now it's 3rd down for Beckman and the Bucks. Draw play, Sane, nothing doing. They're going to get it back.
Michigan's linebackers expected this play. I don't think they thought Beckman would throw the football, and they attacked the Ohio State offensive line before the play even had a chance. Azay was coming up, Jamar Adams, the safety, coming up, and also Chris Graham locked in there and made a nice play to force Ohio State here to the punt.
Now Trapasso will attempt to bury Ryan Mallett on his first series. Matthews is standing back on the Wolverine 10-yard line. This could be a very tough starting point for a freshman quarterback. Pierce headed for the end zone. Coming out on the 20-yard line. A little bit too much leg, so a little breathing room for Big Tex. The crowd will react as soon as they see that Mallett's coming out.
Brent, a quick scouting report about Ryan Mallett. He has some experience, obviously, this year. He's thrown the football. He's big and strong with that strong arm, but he also has been a quarterback who's turned it over.
So whatever he took to allow him to play has worn off. And Henne is headed back for the locker room. Big Tex hands it off. Here comes Mike Hart. And Hart battling back toward the line of scrimmage.
Brent, there's Henne going up into the infamous tunnel here at the Big House. But Ryan Mallett has the ability where he could throw a 70-yard touchdown pass on any given play. He has that kind of physical ability and the ability to turn it over.
Yes.
He's a true freshman.
Yes,
he's emotional. I've seen him all year this year at times getting into altercations with the opponent. He needs to keep his cool now and just execute.
Here's his first pass. And he got some zip. Arrington, his second catch. This will put it down in 3rd and makeable. That's the kind of thing they've got to do, is to get the ball downfield if they're to have a chance, trailing 14-3.
We have an offense that's struggling to get downfield, Brent. It creates a defensive mindset where you don't respect that aspect and you start to inch up and cheat to try to take away the underthrows and also the running game. Trying to get Mario Manningham downfield. The very first play that Michigan called was Manningham downfield.
Still got 8 on that shot on the play clock. He's got to look up now. It's coming down inside of 5. Play clock's important here. Got it off. Perfect. And Mike Hart for the first down. Hart run out of bounds by Russell, but it's 1st and 10 for the Wolverines, and it was set up by Mallett. His ability to get the ball a little bit further downfield on that 2nd down pass.
Just the threat of his ability to throw it, Brent. It's a great block by the fullback Helmuth, who opens it up and gives Hart enough of a seam to come underneath his block and then get downfield. That was well executed that time on 3rd down by Michigan.
Now Washington is locked up with Manningham toward the top of your screen. Mallett, though, looks the other way. And Arrington, and there's interference. There's 15 more yards and a 1st and 10 close to midfield. Russell saying that looked a little uncatchable from over here, but
Pass interference. Number 2 on the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Malcolm upset with himself.
You know, Manningham is known as their threat downfield, but Arrington has the ability, especially one-on-one, this time against Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins has his hands on Arrington's back after he makes the play because he has his back to the football. He's got to be very careful of that. The official will make that call every time.
Jenkins tightening up on Manningham at the bottom of your screen. Hart runs away from the other side on a cutback, but there's a flag. This one could go against Carson Butler. Let's see what the call is. Holding is going to be the call. The tight end went to get the outside man, and it's against the Wolverines. And there's a little bit of a hitch in the giddy up there, folks. That play we saw, he limped off a little bit after that.
Holding number 85 on the offense.
That's Butler.
10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat, first down.
I think Butler was frustrated because he felt that Larry Grant slipped on his own without being hooked by the big tight end. Continue to keep a close eye on Mike Hart, because as much as they need to throw the ball with Mallett, that balance that Hart can provide is very important.
And he's out now with Minor. Getting a call. So already Henne has gone to the locker room. Now Hart is limping on that bad ankle. Big Tex got a great block, but he's going to be sacked from behind. Vernon Golston.
This is the matchup that everybody wants to see. Vernon Golston against the All-American Jake Long, top of the screen. The same move that he's used on the other side against Schilling is just an amazing first step. Gives him the edge and the leverage that he needs to go around the tackle.
Kirk, I could be wrong, but that might be the first sack that Jake Long has given up this year.
I think you're right.
I think I saw.
He hasn't given up very many in his entire career.
Exactly. 2nd down and 24. Golston's having a great game. Mallett overthrew Matthews. Had him and overthrew him. Now, folks, help decide the Pontiac game-changing performance of the day. Go to ESPN.com now, ESPN.com, and then search Pontiac to determine which school will win $5,000 and a chance to win $100,000 at the end of the season. 3rd down and 24 for Mallett and the Wolverines. A minute left in the 3rd.
That was the matchup that Mallett wanted, where he had one receiver taking the safety away and he had an open Matthews.
And the Wolverines are forced to punt.
There's a different vibe right now with the live arm of Mallett in the game, but the end result is you still have to protect. If you want to get it downfield, it takes a lot longer to get the ball downfield. It takes more time to be able to protect the quarterback. Ohio State still applying a great deal of pressure into that backfield of the Wolverines.
The Buckeyes continuing to use Small and Hartline as the 2 return men, with Zoltan Mesko back to punt again. Hartline driven back inside the 15, looks to the right for an alley. And his feet were taken out from under him. But there's one thing the NFL has done, is that they have taken away that sweep by Vince Young, and you figured that was coming. Beanie's in. And here he is. But not very successful in return after limping off.
A tendency that we've seen this year from Ohio State is when Beanie Wells starts to run the football, defenses have to adjust, and the way you adjust is you have to get up and attack the line of scrimmage. Getting 8, sometimes 9 guys into the box. Jim Tressel this year has recognized that, and Beckman has thrown over top of defenses that have crowded the line of scrimmage. We'll see if they go to that into the 4th quarter.
So what a job Jim Tressel has done with Ohio State against Michigan. The Tressel coach teams have dominated this rivalry ever since he came to Columbus. Will this be the last time against Ohio State that Lloyd Carr attempts to breathe fire into an offense that is struggling? The buzz around here is that Lloyd may call it a career at the end of this season. And right now he's on the short end, 14-3, and Jim Tressel has dominated. And for the first time today, Lloyd Carr has gone to the headset. Only 1-5 against Jim Tressel. He's being dominated just like he dominated our friend John Cooper once upon a time.
You know, and because of the last 6 years and now working on his 7th, I think it's affected his legacy here in Ann Arbor. If he loses this game, it would be a shame. Some of the fans and the radio call-in shows have really been tough on Lloyd Carr in these last few years because of the way he's performed and his team's performed against Ohio State.
Now on 3rd down, Beckman throws incomplete to Rory Nickel, and he had pressure on him that time from Jamison. Tim Jamison, number 90, has played a fine game for Carr and the Wolverines.
Tim Jamison, and really I think outside of when Beanie Wells has been able to pick up some great blocks and run downhill into the Michigan secondary, the Wolverines are doing enough on defense to keep them in this game, still waiting for the offense to catch up. They're down 14-3.
Both Trapasso for the Bucks and Mesko for the Wolverines have done their job so far. Matthews will not. Yes, he does. Gets it before it goes out of bounds, far side down the sideline now for the Wolverines. And he has given them their best opportunity since the first half. Slipping down the sideline on a punt that was headed out of bounds as we take a look at the Pacific Life game summary, Kirk.
Well, it's been a lot of Beanie Wells today, and good blocking for Ohio State up front. You can see the type of day that Wells has had. In first play of the 2nd half, he went the distance. But the Michigan offense yet to get on track. Chad Henne's been fighting through an injury. They had to sit him down, and because of that now, Ryan Mallett comes out for his 2nd series for this Michigan offense in great field position.
A 27-yard return by Matthews gives the Wolverines a 1st and 10, Buckeye territory at the 34-yard line.
Would like to challenge the ruling on the last play. They said that the runner went out of bounds previous to where he did.
Well, for him to challenge this, Brent, early in this game, somebody from the sidelines must have seen something.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they're wrong on this as Chad Henne is coming back.
Shades of champagne. And he came back to lead him to a victory. Let's keep a close eye on the right foot of Matthews. Right there, yeah.
Yep, no question. It's going to cost the Wolverines about 10 yards. Is that what you'd say?
It looks like 10 to 12 yards. Left foot steps out of bounds.
Yeah. Was it the left or the right?
It looked like his left when he made the cut right.
Okay.
Well, further back, a little further back.
Well, they're running it. The technical advisor is one of the best. Verl Sell is in the booth right next to us.
You're right.
And John Langan, the technical advisor, is over there, and they will communicate with John O'Neill now. And Chad Henne looks like he means business. He's back throwing.
Brent, I think you're right. The right foot steps when he steps out of bounds at about the 46-yard line.
Of course. Well, no, there was the left too. So
both of them.
That angle is not going to be definitive. Remember, indisputable is what they look for. Is that indisputable right there with the right foot? Was that indisputable?
Sure looked like
if it is, they'll come back and mark it.
It should be about 12 yards. They have the ball spotted right now at the 34-yard line.
This is a Tressel. Early last week against Illinois, there was a controversy on an Illini play. A player was approaching the goal line, and it appeared as though he was down. And then on another look at a replay, the ball was coming free and went into the end zone. Was recovered by the Buckeyes. Should have been a touchback coming out of the 20. You would have thought, but either something malfunctioned or they didn't get the replay up in time or whatever. And Chad Henne, buckled up, is back in the huddle. Now here comes. Lloyd is coming after him.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Lloyd Carr is back in the huddle now.
I think Chad Henne said, "I'm going in." And Lloyd Carr said,
Lloyd said, "Let's
keep the young buck in there, maybe."
See what happened here. I had the same sort of read that you did on the situation. And meanwhile, we've got a little field position decision to make here. This is not in any way going to give the Buckeyes the ball.
It was determined that the runner stepped out of bounds at the 46-yard line. It will be 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line. Please set the clock to 14:05. Ohio State has used
it's a 12-yard advantage, and he keeps his timeout.
12 yards, and Chad Henne, again, shades of Champaign, Illinois, when he decided to try to fight through it, went into the locker room in the middle of that game, if you remember, because of the initial shot that he took on his throwing arm, came back and miraculously led them to a victory on the road.
So that becomes a 15-yard Matthews return instead of 27. Now, meanwhile, Minor is the tailback for the Wolverines. Henne off a play fake, going to go deep. Manningham, the target. Jump ball, incomplete.
Chad Henne comes back from going into the locker room in the very first play. This is what I think Michigan fans have been waiting to see with Henne. Downfield to Manningham, but give Kurt Coleman a lot of credit. He stayed at home off of the bootleg. Not only that, he high points the ball, and he's undersized at about 5'10" for a safety. Chad Henne, that's probably the first time he's let it go since the first play of the game when he tried to throw it downfield to Mario again.
2nd and 10. 13:57. Handoff, and there's a penalty flag on this end around by Manningham. He lost a couple of yards. Donald Washington coming up, but there was a penalty flag thrown on the play.
You know, I thought, Brent, remember when Michigan went to the no huddle, really created some tempo and slowed Ohio State's defense down? That probably was their best drive, and maybe a thought
illegal formation
they might
on
want
the
to go
offense.
back to.
Less than 7 men on the line of scrimmage. That penalty's declined. 3rd down.
That's right. The only time they put Ohio State on their heels is when they went with the hurry up with the no huddle that Henne eventually ended up leading them down the field for a field goal. We haven't seen it since then. Yeah.
Our 3rd down and 11. The Wolverines are 3 of 14 on 3rd downs against this Ohio State D. Fumble! And a penalty flag. This was definitely not a Willis Reed moment.
Illegal motion. Number 7 was going forward at the snap. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
That's on the quarterback.
Chad Henne and Adam Krause, the center, not on the same page. Kind of leaning forward. I think he was coming up ready to make an adjustment, which he does very often after the kind of the decoy snap where he lifts the leg, but Krause and he on a different page.
Let's go. Hangs one beautifully high. Small, fair catch. Bobble, fumble. But he gets on it at the 9-yard line. Well, they've played 104 times, and this is the 43rd time that Ohio State and Michigan have settled the Big Ten championship in their game. And now the winner will head to Pasadena. 14-3. We've got 13 and a half minutes to go. The star of stars certainly has been Beanie Wells as a ball carrier, Kirk. And you and I have talked about, some of the folks might not have heard us earlier, but I can't get over how big Beanie is and fast, how he could mature into something special.
Well, it's that special blend when you have power associated with great speed and such quick feet. And I think he's grown as a back. I think he's become a more mature, patient running back from the beginning of the year to where he is now with 11 or 12 games of experience as a starting tailback. Ohio State will continue to feed him the football in the 4th quarter. Michigan's defense has to make a play to give the Wolverines hope.
Kirk, he's 26 yards away from a 200-yard day here. You take a look at what he's accomplishing here today.
Well, I think it starts up front. The fact that Ohio State's offensive line has given him some opportunities along with the blocking fullback. When he gets into the 2nd level, he's as good as you're going to see in the country because of his power. A safety comes up to try to bring him down, and he runs right through their shoulder pads.
Tim Biakabatuka, remember his big day from Michigan in here?
Yeah, 1995, is it?
And he's watching the game today.
What a day. That was supposed to be Eddie George's day.
That's exactly right. Eddie George.
Big upset.
Heisman Trophy winner at Ohio State. So here's Beanie. He's been the star player so far. Here comes the blitz. Picking his way. Will he get the first down? Sheds a couple, but no. So the Bucks are forced to punt.
I think Ron English, as the defensive coordinator, realizing under 12 minutes to go now, he's got to be willing to take chances. And Jamar Adams, 22, the safety, cheating way up, brought the blitz, thinking Ohio State no chance that they might throw the football, and it worked out to their favor.
McCreedis, we got to give McCreedis some props for the snapping that has gone on these punts for Trapasso. 56 is bending over, and on a very wet, sloppy day, he's been on the money just like that all day long. And Trapasso booms one. Matthews at the 36 is ridden down at the fumble. Now the officials will sort this one out. Wolverines keep it.
Big play that time by the Wolverines.
Wow. But on this day, advantage Buckeyes. Their defense has yielded only 92 yards, 24 rushing and 68 passing. They've had 3 sacks today. Henne back deep, throwing far sideline, penalty, interference. Manningham interfered with, 15 yards and an automatic first down.
Good call here. Anderson Russell gets a little bit deked on the pump and go. Gets caught guessing.
Number 21 in the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
And on a slick field, you don't have any chance once you guess. Jenkins is up tight. Anderson Russell back, and right there, little give and go, and he gets by him. He's going to run right by him. He locks him up, and that is pass interference. This Ohio State defense, you just touched on him, Brent. It's the same defense last week, sitting back on their heels, looking very hesitant, indecisive because of Illinois and Juice Williams and the way they attacked them. And today they've been able to get back to the basics of being aggressive.
First down and 10 for Henne, the Wolverines. Hart. And Hart gives up about 3 yards.
Remember, if you're a Michigan fan, you're well aware of what's happened in the last 4 games coming into today. Last 5 games, they have trailed by at least 10 points. And 4 of those games, they've been able to fight back and win those football games. And even last week, when they came up short against Wisconsin, they made some plays in the 4th quarter with the pass game to give themselves a chance.
Not like Michigan to lose 3 games in Ann Arbor in a single season, but that's what they face now with 10:27 left. Henne, pocket holds, high, snap, incomplete. Arrington reaching up for it. And the Hooves were coming, folks.
It's a pretty good job by Michigan's offensive line. An area that they've struggled with is protection. This time they give Henne the timing. You need to give him the time when you have a receiver coming all the way across the field. And much like we've seen today, Michigan wide receiver unable to lock down, catch the football, hold on to the ball, whether it's the conditions.
And the balls are not perfectly thrown.
Yeah,
somebody's got to
make a play.
3rd down and 11. Corner blitz, picked up, incomplete. 4th down. Donald Washington coming that time. Like Mike DeBoer said, they come from every angle and every place.
And this time Washington coming from the corner on the blitz. And one thing that happens here, Brent, in my opinion, is even though Washington didn't get there, it affected him. And in fact, I think the rush of that time, Larimore, may have affected the throw. And I think they may have touched the football or touched Chad Henne's arm as he was coming through.
Smaller part line continued to be back for Mesko's punch. Small at the 21, looking for a left alley. Out at the 27-yard line. And that's where Todd Beckman and the Buckeyes will put it in play. Just a few minutes from Pasadena, lead at 14-3. The granddaddy indeed, and the winner of this game qualifies as the Big Ten champion automatically into the Rose Bowl. Out west, will it be Oregon, USC, or Arizona State? That is still to be determined. Here comes Beanie Wells. He's been the MVP of this game for the Buckeyes. Now let's take you to the All-State standings and show you why we think it would be near impossible. Ohio State would have to climb over all of those teams above them, except of course LSU, to get to that 2nd spot. Now Oregon's lost a quarterback. Remember, the Big 12 will eliminate 2, it figures, of the 3, but there's still West Virginia.
Well, Oregon's gone. 2 of the 3 from the Big 12 are gone. That leaves really LSU and West Virginia, along with 1 of the Big 12 teams that will eventually emerge.
You are my favorite Buckeye alum.
I don't think they're going to get there.
I don't either.
I don't either.
I think it'll take a minute. Besides, I want them in Pasadena.
I do too. It's been too long since Ohio State. You know, Ohio State's been to. Jim Tressel's taken Ohio State to a Fiesta Bowl in the BCS game. 02, 03, 05, 06, and now this year they're fighting today to try to get to Pasadena. I don't think they're going to be able to get back up there because I don't think West Virginia will lose. I don't think LSU will lose.
No, I don't either. LSU. Well, I suppose if Georgia could catch them,
yeah,
you know, down in Atlanta,
that could happen.
That might be trouble for them. But here's 3rd down. Let's see if the Bucks can pick this one up. You know who? He might not get it. He will not get it. Jamison was helping out, number 90. And they met Beanie at the point of attack, and the Wolverines are not going to go without a little bit of a fight here.
That's a great job by Terrence Taylor and this entire Michigan front. I continue to say this game feels as if the field is tilting towards Ohio State, but look at the fight, look at the effort. Even Will Johnson is in there. 3rd and short, game on the line. Every second in the 4th quarter counts, and Michigan beats Ohio State up front to force this punt.
Would you go after this punt if you were the Wolverines?
If you're not going to create a turnover, you have to press the issue on special teams, whether that means setting up for the big return or going after the block. You have to make a play to be able to get back in it. They're going for the return.
Yeah, they are. They're looking to hold up the Gunners. Once you see them send 4 guys out there. Matthews and this one going to roll dead at about the 32-yard line. Oh, is hit by number 50. Vernon Golston stunned him.
Well, as much as we've talked about Beanie Wells on the offensive side, the story for the Ohio State defense, the entire group, but really it's been Vernon Golston. What happened that time, Brent, is the receiver that he wanted to throw the football to Adrian Arrington, got off track. He actually slipped, and Vernon Golston was able to get there.
Coming in underneath, back to the original line of scrimmage is Mario Manningham. And that was Marcus Freeman, the linebacker, riding him down. So here comes a 3rd down inside of 7 minutes. And the Wolverines still need 10 yards.
Vernon Golston, the speed and the power, much like Beanie Wells,
indeed,
has been tough for Michigan to be able to contain up front.
And again, they move him. They flop him from side to side. Make it very difficult on players and coordinators. He's hit on the release. Almost intercepted and off Arrington. Came right through the defender, but there was pressure by number 50 again. Golston was in on top of him.
It's been speed throughout the game, but this time he gives Michigan's offensive line a field of power. He goes right through Schilling and right through Mike Hart to be able to get there. Watch him go right through Schilling. Hart tries to help out, and still Vernon Golston puts pressure on Chad Henne.
Mesco is back. So too waiting this, Hartline and Small. They'll let it roll dead at the 33-yard line. Tiptoes for, boy, I'll tell you, and then he picks up about 4 yards just when you think he's going to get only 2. Well, quiet big house here in Ann Arbor. That's the largest since 2003 versus Ohio State, over 111,000. As soon as this game ends, we're going to have to get out of here because we're going to start a remodel job, okay? You want to be caught on the inside.
You've caught a lot of games in here. You're probably as excited as anybody, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful facility, but you imagine coming back here in the next 2 or 3 years when it's finished?
Oh, it'll be something.
It'll be as good as there is.
2nd down and 6.
Ten guys up at the line of scrimmage, Brent.
Trying anything to get to. So you mentioned it, Kirk, and here's what Dave Abloff got a hold of these drawings for us, and there's your luxury boxes across the way. That's the Herb Street Twins won't have to sit outside in the rain. Come about 2010, they will put them right over there, and I don't know if game day will have any more room on the field.
I don't think so. No, it's tight. Wow, what a beautiful view.
Yeah, press box, you can see. And that'll be something. They've already done a great remodeling job back in Columbus on the Horseshoe. And here we are at 3rd and 7 now. Sane is back in as the running back. Beckman will see if he can pick this one up through the air, no doubt. No doubt he won't. Oh, Mr. Jamison. How do you do, said 90. He's played a heck of a football game, and Saints said, I don't want to see that license plate again.
Well, they decided to come with a blitz, Brent, so obviously the linemen have to make an adjustment to pick up linebackers, and it just frees up Jamison, who just played a great football game today.
That was Mr. Small, who lined up in the backfield, and he took that whack.
He's ready for a wide receiver again. 182 pounds.
He said, get me back on the outside. Yeah. Get that beanie fella back in here. Get me out of here. I don't want any more of that. Here's Trapasso. A little bit of a short punt this time and out of bounds, and we'll see where that one's marked. You can see the side chest running right to the spot.
Second half has not been pretty for Michigan, Brent, and their offense. I was trying to think, how many first downs have they been able to come up with? And you can see it has been a long haul, and whether that's a combination of Chad Henne not feeling well and Ohio State playing very, very well, I think it's Ohio State winning the battle in the trenches, especially with Vernon Golston, and just having too much speed for Michigan's offensive line to be able to contain and slow down.
And he's back in the shotgun. Golston closing in again. been a long day for the young man with a separated shoulder.
Well, he has had to fight through this, and at one point they took him in and had to give him whatever he might need to come back and try to finish the game. As good as Ryan Mallett will be, they just need Chad Henne and his experience in this rivalry game to try to lead them back and make this game competitive, and it's just not meant to be at this point for Henne and the Wolverines.
Mark Ortman is now taking a crack at Golston. They've moved him in at right tackle.
Good luck.
And he comes inside and gets picked up by the back, and Manningham lets another one. That's the third drop pass by number 86 today, and the boos come down.
Manningham has had just a rough day trying to hold on to the football. That shot showed you it's not just that the ball is slick. His eyes are going up. He's looking at who's closing in on him before he holds on to the football. We've seen Manningham do that, and we've seen Arrington do that. And it's not like the Michigan wide receivers to get intimidated the way these guys have played so far in this game.
Hit on the release, and it is 4th and 10.
But what happens is when you have one individual that's become dominant up front like Golston, the offensive line starts to think so much about Golston that it frees up other defensive linemen to be able to make plays, and that time it's Larimore who fights in and beats one-on-one opportunity to get after Chad Henne, and they're going to go for it here on 4th down.
Yeah, 3:51 and you're down 14-3.
Ball game right here.
It's been hard converting 3rd and 2, leave alone 4th and 10. Going downfield, Manningham. No flag. Ohio State takes over. 3:44 to go. That's all that separates the Buckeyes from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena.
What a difference 1 week makes for an Ohio State defense. Last week against the Illini, they played back. They didn't play with much confidence and much swagger. This week, Jim Haycock and Luke Fickell decided to turn this defense loose. And we're almost to the end of the game, and Michigan right now has 91 yards of total offense.
Jim Tressel will go to work on the play clock. I should say that game clock, meant to say, and I was looking at the play clock myself that time. Beatty Wells, of course, the player of the game as far as Ohio State is concerned. So we're back in the big house. Some happy folks wearing red. Some unhappy ones wearing maize and blue. Junior quarterback Todd Beckman, 23 years old, took over from Heisman Trophy winner Troy Smith. And the Bucks are closing in on a Big Ten championship. Michigan used a timeout. 3:30 to go.
A lot of anticipation this week about Lloyd Carr. Would this be his final game? He's been very tight-lipped about that throughout the week, which is what you would expect from Lloyd Carr. And I don't know at the end of this game if he's going to make some kind of announcement saying that he is going to step down. But my memory of Lloyd Carr will be, forget about the Ohio State-Michigan game. It's the way he has gone about his job. He is a coach that hasn't forgotten why he got into this business. And the reason he got into this business is to build relationships between himself and his players. And when you see it behind closed doors, it's amazing to see how many people that he's affected in his time in his 13 years here as a head coach, because he takes his role as a teacher very seriously, and it's not just X's and O's in football, Brent. It's about teaching these players about life as well, and he's done a great job here in Ann Arbor.
Here's Beanie. Picks up the first down at the 30-yard line. The one point that I want to make about Lloyd is we kid about the halftime interviews, and sometimes he's a little bit of a curmudgeon to deal with. But when you talk about a class act and representing his school,
yep,
I totally agree with you. He's a solid football man. And no matter, this is a bum year, and Michigan fans have a right to be upset about the way it started, the way it's ending, and I don't blame them. But when you look at the whole body of work, ladies and gentlemen, it is very positive for Lloyd Carr, and that's how he should be viewed no matter what he decides. Kirk, you and I have no inside information. I sort of think that this is it, that he'll call it a career and step away, and I think I'm going to remember it in a very positive way like you.
Yeah, I mean, 13 years to win 5 Big Ten championships, go back to 1997, winning a national championship, and he started great against his rival Ohio State. The last 6 or 7 years, it has not gone well. I just hope that the Michigan fan base realizes the entire body of work and what he has done here and the job that he's done and the way he's gone about approaching his job with these players.
Crowds in excess of 100,000, loyal fans, the players you meet who've come through this. And we've all met them. We all run into them. And just like the Buckeye players, it's a very positive experience for the athletes. And clearly, in every way you want to measure this game, the Buckeyes have been superior today. I think they've had superior personnel. I think they've had superior play calling. And Lloyd Carr has been unable to get this team back in it.
Yeah, and I think it's fitting to give a tribute to Lloyd Carr because of what he's meant as a head coach, and it's just as fitting to recognize the job that Jim Tressel has done when Ohio State secures this victory. I just mentioned 2002 in the BCS championship game, 03 they went back to a BCS bowl game, 04 or 05, 06, now 07. 5 of the last 6 years, he's led Ohio State into the BCS. 2 of those games in national championship games. Right now, he's the toast of the town in Columbus, Ohio.
And the Beanie breaks free again. We've got a 200-yard rusher on our hands, folks, in a Michigan-Ohio State game.
People talk about what you do in the Ohio State-Michigan game is remembered forever. Well, Beanie Wells must have looked in the mirror and had some serious soul-searching as he approached this stadium. I mentioned, he said earlier this week to James Laurinaitis, who conveyed that to me, he said, James, I've got to start fast this game. So many of the games this year, I've waited until the second half to take it over. This game, I want to start fast, and you can tell his attitude was on display this afternoon.
And the first carry for his backup, Maurice Wells. Remember, Brandon Sane was in a little bit earlier. So I've got 39 carries for number 28 for 222 yards. That's a day in the office, folks.
This day will be remembered for a long time from Ohio State fans and the effort that Beanie Wells has put forth. One more carry will get him to 40 carries. Talk about a workhorse. True sophomore, the very least, comes back for one more year for Ohio State.
Final seconds. The Buckeyes will just kneel down. They're not going to try to tack one on. They don't want anything to be remembered for when the game moves to Columbus.
Yeah, that's pretty classy of Jim Tressel to take a knee and be happy with a 14-3 victory.
So Tressel, he seeks out Lloyd Carr immediately, shakes hands. The photographers go with Lloyd. As Beanie Wells comes up and Lloyd Carr trudges off the Big House turf, a loser for the 4th time this year and the 3rd time right here. Let's go down to Lisa with the winning coach.
Coach Tressel, a team that both offenses struggled today, but what ultimately was the difference for you guys?
Well, we ran the ball pretty well. I guess we ran it for 229 yards, and that's pretty good against a Michigan team. It's tough to come in here and win. You know, Michigan has had a lot of hard knocks this season with all the injuries and so forth, and they played with a lot of courage. Our kids played extremely hard. Awfully proud of the Buckeyes.
Chris Beanie Wells and Vernon Golston, what impressed you most about those 2 guys today?
Well, both those guys are playmakers. They're great kids. It was very important to them to win this football game, and we're the Big Ten champions.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So Jim Tressel, a winner again, now 6-1 against the Wolverines, and headed at least for Pasadena, where he'd be matched against Oregon, USC, or Arizona State. That is still to be determined. And our Chevrolet players of the game, you're looking at one of them giving a radio interview down there on tape TV. Beanie Wells, 39 carries, 222 yards. And for Michigan, we're going to highlight number 90, folks. Mr. Jamison was a load in that defensive end. 8 tackles in the defensive line, 3 of them for a loss today. And so in honor, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund.
It wasn't pretty necessarily for either team, but vintage Ohio State, Michigan, the Buckeyes holding the Wolverines under 100 yards, but the day will be remembered for the effort that Beanie Wells put forth today.
Once again, the final score, 14-3. Ohio State beats Michigan in the rivalry game.